So, big picture speaking, what are the chances that the 420 rally is back next year?
I think they're very good. And by the way, thanks for having me in today. Great to be here. We have a very good prospect of success on this. If you break down the city's filing against us, it is so petty, so trivial, and just clearly manufactured in order to crush our free speech. And it's just, I think it'll be obvious to any reasonable person, judge, hearing officer, anyone who takes a look at this and breaks down their lack of evidence.
What's their best complaint, even if it is petty? Is there anything in that letter that you say, yeah, you got us there, we shouldn't have done it?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, we did have a few vendors who did not have the appropriate licenses, food vendors and that kind of thing. Department of Health caught them, we caught them, and we collectively shut them down immediately. But it is true that, you know, out of 170, 5 of them did not have the appropriate licensure. But bottom line, even that's not substantial because 0 injuries, 0 problems, 0 harm to any human being. So technical paper violation, I mean, they've technically maybe got us on that one, but that doesn't justify removing the entire rally for 3 years and denying us our priority status that we've had for a decade. So, you know, they are way overstating things.
You assert that Mayor Hancock has wanted to shut this down for a while now. What do you think the opening was then this year? Was it not the trash? Was it not the noise issues? I mean, if he wanted to shut it down, why not last year, the year before? Why this past year?
You know, you'd have to ask Mayor Hancock that, but he is on record as early as 2013 saying he wants to destroy our rally. He doesn't agree with our message. He doesn't like the plume of smoke, as he characterizes it. And so back then wanted to shut us down, and maybe he got the courage this time around to make a run at it. But I think they're going to come up short. I really do. This is so petty and so trivial and so technical.
The mayor ended up with quite a bit of cover from his right on this. The letter from Colorado Christian University and the signatories. I mean, you've got everybody up to the Archbishop weighing in on this. Do you think there's a genuine public groundswell against this?
No, I really don't. I mean, Colorado Christian University, you know, my friends over there, with all due respect, I mean, I think Jesus is on our side on this one. I really do. I think if Jesus is walking the earth, he is with us, you know, walking the grass at the rally. He's not sitting in some fancy suburban office. So, you know, I think they missed the mark for their own mission by attacking us. But, you know, the First Amendment right that Colorado Christian University has to express its disapproval of us, and they do have that, they are protected, that same First Amendment protects us. And so we enjoy those same protections. So it's really not, you know, 420 versus Colorado Christian. We both benefit from the First Amendment. Although the debate coming up on August 11th between Jeff Hunt and myself should be worthy of your attention, and I hope you're there.
Gotcha. This is one of the first filings I've seen in a while that includes the term haters. How much of this, wrapped around this word, because I'm obsessed with that word, but how much of this do you think is just there's some public sentiment percolating, the city decides to take an action versus concrete, here are the issues?
Right. Well, you know, I'm a civil rights attorney, and so if I am not poking my finger in the eye of the man from time to time and getting authority figures' panties in a bunch, I'm not really doing my job. And part of my job also is to make writing accessible to regular folks. Sometimes lawyers are accused of being a little boring, so I like to throw a little interesting things in there so people actually read my stuff. And you know, it is inevitable. I mean, just like the sun rises and sets every day, haters are going to hate, Kyle. And I mean, that is their nature. And there are people who hate us, and you know, we understand that. We understand we are not as popular as maybe, say, the Broncos, who staged a massive rally in that park a couple years ago, I recall. Broncos don't need First Amendment protection. We do.
Gotcha. And what they received in return was a heinous overinflation of the attendance by the mayor's office, but we've talked about that before. There were not 1 million people there. Do your free speech rights give you the ability to congregate a group of people to break the law in that park every year?
Well, we're not breaking any laws. We're in complete compliance with our permit.
You're talking about the organizers.
Correct.
Not the attendees. Clearly,
Right.
there are attendees who are flouting the law.
I think some people probably do show up at the 420 rally and probably consume marijuana there. I'm sure that happens. Those are third parties. They're not our organizers and they're not our leadership. In fact, we follow the city's directives and actively discourage people from consuming marijuana in that park. So we're following all aspects. And in fact, that's not even an aspect of the city's laundry list of hyper technicalities. They don't even mention that. And they know they can't. They know that's not our problem or
Sure.
our fault.
Speak to the viewer out there who hates the rally,
Mm-hmm.
who hates the culture. Why should they care? Why should they stand with you?
Because in America, we have to tolerate all different views, views that we agree with, views that we disagree with, views that we're indifferent to. Freedom protects us all. And when you take away the right of free expression of unpopular views or views that you disagree with, and you set the government up, and this is the government picking and choosing which views it supports and which views it doesn't. I mean, we don't have the civil rights movement. We don't have many movements in our country's history. This is part of that. You know, we don't expect to get 100% approval from the population. That is our nature. We are aggressive and we are a force to be reckoned with, and we do speak truth to power, and sometimes power likes to strike back when you speak truth to it. And if a person out there, you know, hates marijuana, hates our message, hates our form of expression, then that person maybe shouldn't attend the rally. How about that? As a radical concept, you don't have to go to things that you disagree with. It is a free country.
Do you think there are people in the cannabis industry that would like that rally to go away?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are people who are maybe jealous that they're not part of it. Maybe they think that we somehow represent all cannabis consumers, which we don't. And I don't think there really is a cannabis community, just like there isn't a beer community or a wine community. I mean, we don't pretend to speak for everybody who consumes cannabis. We don't pretend to speak for everybody who grows it or sells it or distributes it. I mean, it is a broad swath of people. We are not a monolith, and anybody who pretends to speak for this so-called cannabis community, frankly, doesn't. I mean, there isn't one singular spokesman for it. But yeah, I'm sure there are some people who just want to, you know, basically lick the boots of those in power and sell their cannabis, and our message maybe makes those folks uncomfortable.
Speaking of being uncomfortable, last question. You didn't happen to catch the thought that I offered up on this a couple of weeks ago about, could you extrapolate what's going on with the 420 rally, and what if somebody walked into the city of Denver and said, I would like to reserve Civic Center Park for a celebration of orgies? Did you happen to catch that?
I heard about it.
Okay, let's walk through that here, because I'm curious whether or not, one, you think it's a valid comparison, two, what you think of the city's response. Yeah, if they want to have a free love celebration, so long as they're not tacitly encouraging public sex, then I suppose we would allow that. What do you make of what I thought on that?
So if somebody came in and wanted to express political views in favor of orgies or, you know, whatever issue, I think that person's got a First Amendment right to do it. They're going to have to get a permit and comply with all the same things that we comply with. And if they are encouraging actual law breaking that occurs there in the presence of the public in the rally, you know, that's one thing. But the First Amendment protects us all, and it protects things that are uncomfortable. It protects things that challenge people. It protects things that open our mind and make us think of different perspectives and things that maybe we don't agree with. That's the beauty of it. That's a good thing. We want that in this country. That First Amendment protects this show, which is a beautiful thing. And everything that is said on this show, I'm sure not every single viewer agrees with it, but they still keep watching it because it challenges them. And that's what we do in the rally. That's America. I mean, this is the essence of our freedoms in this country. You know, we've got to agree that everybody has a right to free speech.
I compared your rally to orgies. You compared it back to my show. That squares the circle. Rob, Corry, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it very much. Well played. We've come